everyone, I'm Claire, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to the March releases from Holo Taco and Mooncat, Holo Taco's Jelly Sandwich Collection, and Mooncat's second Misfits collection. If you're new to my reaction videos, I'm not someone who gets PR from brands, and I don't buy every collection as soon as it comes out. I usually just pick up my favorites when there's a sale, and that means I can't do a swatch and review like other creators, but I still like to talk about new releases. So I'll be going through all the polishes, saying whether they're going on my wish list, and then also talking about the collections as a whole, the vibes, the finishes, the color story, that kind of thing. This is the first time I've talked about two different brands in one video, but these collections came out on consecutive days, so I thought I might as well. And each one shouldn't take too long to cover since the Holo Taco features a lot of the same finish, and the Mooncat is only 4 polishes. There are timestamps if you want to skip around. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the Holo Taco Jelly Sandwich collection because I'm just more excited about it. Holo Taco is a boutique nail polish brand based in the US and founded by Christine from the Simply Nailogical YouTube channel, and they just released their first collection of plain jelly polishes. There are 5 of those, along with 2 glitter toppers. A jelly polish is one that's intentionally sheer. The level of sheerness can vary. Holo Tacos seem to be on the more sheer side, but people often describe them as looking squishy or juicy or glassy. And of course, jellies can be worn on their own, but the sheerness means you can also put toppers between the layers for a jelly sandwich, hence the collection name. Or you can use them for easy gradients, layering different colors, lots of different creative uses. Holo Taco has previously made some polishes with jelly bases, but those have included other elements too, like hollow glitter or iridescent flakes. And they've done some plain crelly polishes, which are between jellies and creams in terms of opacity, but this is the first time they've done plain jellies, which is something I, and I think a lot of other people, have been hoping to see from them. So I'll go through all the colors and the toppers, and then talk a bit more about the color story, the theme, some other opinions I've seen about these polishes, all that. So first up is Glossed and Found, which is described as a watermelon pink. It's not as red-leaning as that description might suggest, but it does seem to have some warmth to it. But jellies can look really different depending on who's wearing them, since they're sheer and show more of the skin tone underneath, so it's hard to really pin down a color description. I do like this color, I enjoy brighter pinks, so I'm definitely considering picking it up. Though one hesitation is that I have Icon on board, which is Holo Taco's pink crelly from their 6th anniversary collection. That one is a different shade of pink and definitely more opaque, so it doesn't work as well for layering with toppers or other jellies. So I can see both polishes having their uses in my collection, and Glossed and Found is on my wish list for now, but we'll see. Next is In My Peelings, which is a bright orange jelly that maybe leans a little red. I'm really happy to see a less popular color in this collection. I know oranges don't tend to sell as well as the purples and teals and pinks, so we don't see a lot of them from Holo Taco or other brands. But I feel like a great way to get people to like an orange is to make it really bright and juicy. This polish looks like it tastes good. So it is going on my wish list, and it's one that I'm definitely planning to get soon. I know this collection won't be discounted during the loyalty sale that's happening next month, so I might end up waiting till Black Friday for some of these polishes, but I'm gonna go ahead and get In My Peelings next time I place an order. I don't have a lot of orange polish, and I want more. Then we have the obligatory aqua/teal polish called Meltdown. People complain about Holo Taco doing so many purples, but I'm here to point out that they have also been leaning heavily on this part of the color wheel since they realized people like it. I'm not going to call myself an aqua and teal hater because there are polishes in this color range I tolerate or even enjoy, but this is the one jelly in this collection that I'm definitely not getting. The color just doesn't do anything for me. This is also apparently one of the most sheer polishes in the collection. Obviously they're all sheer to a degree, they're jellies, but the reviews I watched, even from people who like jellies, basically said that they wished this one had more color payoff. It didn't reach the minimum standard of color and coverage that they want from their jellies. And that's kind of a personal preference thing. I know Linry has mentioned that she likes very sheer, glassy jellies because of the way she uses them in nail art, while other people might enjoy the squishy look but still want something that mostly covers their nail line. So some people will be okay with how Meltdown performs, but I can also understand why a lot of people wouldn't be happy with it. I would describe the way it looks in some photos as unfinished, like the swatchers got interrupted partway through, because there's just not a lot of pigment on the nail. Next up is Sky High, which is described as a royal sky blue. I feel like it can look more royal or more sky, depending on who's wearing it. And this one also seems to be very sheer, so again, might not be what most people are looking for. It is worth noting that if you are looking for this level of coverage, it seems like some of the jellies from LA Colors are similarly sheer, and those ones cost like $2 instead of $13. I do like this color though. I'm not necessarily very drawn to royal blues most of the time because they're so intense, but I like that this one is a bit softer because it's a jelly. So it is going on my wish list, but I don't think I'm going to get it right away. Might wait till Black Friday. And the last jelly is Grape Expectations, which is a warm, kind of pinkish purple. I was more interested in this polish before I saw how it looks on the nails. In some of the promo shots, when they were showing the polishes like poured over fruit or spread on toast, there was a thicker layer of polish, which made the color look more concentrated and less warm-toned. And I just liked that color better than how it looks in 3 coats on the nails. I am still a little tempted by it because whenever I have the opportunity to get pink, purple, and blue polishes in the same formula, my brain's like, you could do bi flag nails! So it's on my wish list for now, but I don't like it on its own as much as the pink and the blue. And technically I could probably make a purple I like better by layering the other jellies. Moving on to the toppers, first is Butterfly Taco, which features silver holographic butterfly glitters as well as some small hollow flakes in a clear base. It's basically the butterfly version of the star topper they did a few months ago, as they've slowly been introducing more shaped glitter. As I've mentioned before, I'm not opposed to these shaped glitter toppers in theory, but so far there hasn't been a shape that I've been particularly drawn to. Silver butterflies aren't really my thing. So I'm not planning to buy it, but I feel like it works for the collection because butterflies would probably eat jelly if given the chance. And last up is Picnic Party Taco, which is very different from any of the toppers we've seen from Holo Taco so far, though I have seen the style of topper from other brands. It features large and medium hex glitters in a variety of colors, as well as small iridescent hex glitters, all in a clear base. I do think this topper is really fun, and it works with the bright colors of the collection, but I'm on the fence about getting it. It would be fun to layer with the jellies, but I don't think it would get as much use compared to my other toppers, since I'm not the biggest fan of the chunky hex glitters. I might like them better if they were round instead. So it's not on my wish list right now, but there's a chance I'll pick it up eventually. So those are all the polishes in the Jelly Sandwich collection. I think it's a fun lineup, definitely very summery, and I am interested in picking up some of the polishes. But I know not everyone is a fan of this collection, so I want to take some time to talk about the color story, the finishes, and the theme. So starting with the color story, it was just kind of what I expect from Holo Taco at this point. It followed what they've done in the past couple years with collections that focus on one finish. Instead of doing full rainbow collections like they used to, they condense the less popular parts of the rainbow and expand the more popular parts. Like in the Rock Candy collection, there was one polish in the yellow-orange category, instead of doing 2 separate polishes for yellow and orange. In Pixel Perfect, they skipped green, and in Off the Deep End, they skipped green, yellow, and orange, in both cases to be able to fit more teals, aquas, indigos, and purples. So in the Jelly Sandwich collection, we got mostly the more popular colors, with the purple, aqua, pink, and to an extent blue, and one less popular color with the orange. And to be fair, I do think it's a good lineup. I think it kind of works for an artificially flavored version of fruity, summery jellies. Like, these colors don't all really evoke actual fruits, but they do make me think of popsicles and Kool-Aid and Gushers. Also, I totally recognize that it would be kind of unreasonable to expect them to do a yellow and a green in their first jelly collection. They're trying to win over customers who haven't tried really sheer polishes before, and it's hard to do that with a color like yellow that can end up looking like enhanced nail staining. But at the same time, I do personally wish we had gotten a yellow because it's a primary color, and it would have made it possible to get a wider range of colors through layering, like some green tones and other shades of orange. I totally understand why we didn't get it. It would not have sold well, but it would have made sense for certain jelly use cases. So yeah, no major complaints about the color story, but it also wasn't anything special. Moving on to finishes, I have already talked about what jellies are and the fact that Holo Tacos are especially sheer, but I think it's worth spending a bit more time on the subject, because I'm just kind of curious why Holo Taco went so sheer with their jellies. As Christine mentioned during the launch livestream, Holo Taco was kind of founded on the idea of making quality polishes with really good coverage, like making a one-coat black cream instead of the drugstore version that's super sheer and streaky in one coat. So they've had to be kind of careful when they move away from that idea. And when they've made polishes that are a bit less opaque, they still ultimately have good coverage and color payoff. And because of that, I think it's just a bit unexpected for them to go so far in the other direction with this release. So I've been thinking about what their thought process might have been, and my one idea is that they wanted to really differentiate their jellies from their existing Krellies. They put out several Krellies in the past year plus that did have a little sheerness, some layerability, but most of them were very dark and pigmented, and they did have really good coverage. So if they made jellies with more coverage that were kind of approaching Krellies on the opacity spectrum, then there would be more confusion about how different polishes were categorized, and potentially more customers who end up expecting one thing from a polish and getting something else. And from that perspective, I do think these jellies kind of make sense. Let me know if you have any other theories. But like I said before, I know these jellies aren't going to be for everyone, because even people who like jellies have a minimum standard of coverage and pigmentation that they want from their polish. And based on what I saw from reviews and from a lot of people in the comment section of those reviews, these Holo Taco jellies don't necessarily meet that standard. There was honestly more negativity in those comments than I was expecting, because I'm pretty on board with these polishes. Like, I wouldn't mind a little more coverage, but I think the Holo Taco sheerness level might be a good thing when it comes to certain types of layering and nail art, so I'm still excited to eventually get some and play with them. But I also understand that when it comes to a brand with a somewhat higher price point like Holo Taco, you want them to put a little more pigment in the bottle so it feels like you're getting your money's worth. Then of course we also got glitter toppers in this collection. Holo Taco has been leaning into the chunky toppers lately, which I think makes sense. They've covered a lot of their bases already when it comes to holographic, iridescent, and metallic toppers, so if they want to keep releasing toppers, shaped glitters are a good option. And the ones they picked for this collection work well with the bright, fun picnic theme. I personally haven't been super interested in the shaped glitter toppers they've put out, and I am hoping that we still get other types of toppers every now and then. Like, I would love for the gold scattered holo topper from the advent calendar to be brought back, and also the multichrome flake topper from that release. And I would enjoy other colors of multichrome or metallic flake, maybe more reflective glitters or magnetic toppers. I just feel like those kinds of toppers can be more versatile since they can change or enhance your base polish without necessarily taking over, while shaped toppers kind of take over a mani and become the main focus, so I wouldn't want to repeat them as often. Of course, that's just how I see it. I know other people really like chunky glitter toppers, and that's totally valid, and I do think the big glitters make sense in a collection where there is an emphasis on layering. I'm just hoping that's not all we get going forward. So that just leaves theme, and this is a collection where I think the theming was kind of middle of the road. Not weak, but not super strong either. The general vibe, as portrayed by the marketing, is summer picnic where you eat a jelly sandwich and fruit and maybe a popsicle, but I feel like some of the polish names are a bit of a stretch. Picnic party makes sense, of course. Sky High and Butterfly Taco reference things you would see during a picnic, so they do technically fit. In My Peelings works, because orange peel, but it also makes me think of the Mixed Emotions collection from a couple summers ago. There's Grape Expectations, which is a fruit pun, but it's also a literature pun, which is a little off topic. Meltdown seems like it's supposed to tie in with melting popsicles, but that's definitely not the first thing I think when I hear that word. And I'm not really sure how Glossed and Found is supposed to fit in, except that lip glosses are sometimes fruit scented. So yeah. I am nitpicking, but I guess I just expected more of the polishes to have fruit-based names based on the marketing. Orange marmalade, grape jelly, blueberry jam, strawberry preserves, blue raspberry jello, that kind of thing. It would be a bit more simple, but fit better with the collection name. But honestly, when we get a collection with a new formula, I don't care as much about the theme. Strong theming can be really helpful for making creams interesting, tying together a collection that includes a variety of finishes, but it's not as necessary when the focus is the new formula. So it could have been better, but the important thing was introducing jellies, and I feel like they accomplished that. So yeah, that was the Holo Taco Jelly Sandwich collection, and overall, I liked it. I know not everyone is totally happy with the execution because of the lack of pigmentation in some of the polishes, but I'm happy to see them try something new. Like other people have pointed out, jellies really make sense for a brand that emphasizes toppers because they give even more options for different combos and being creative with polish. But I am curious to see how they'll react to the feedback about this launch, if we'll see more jellies in the future, and if they'll make them a bit more pigmented. Either way, I'm looking forward to trying at least a couple polishes from this collection. And before I move on, I do also want to mention that I've been pretty happy with Holo Taco's release schedule this year. I've complained about the frequency of releases in the past, so I feel like I should also talk about it when they're doing better, and this year hasn't been bad so far. There was a collection at the end of January, nothing in February, this collection in mid-March, and then we'll get the Royalty collection in April. Potentially also another April Fool's Day polish. Releases haven't been super spread out by any means, but there's been a little more breathing room than what we got last year. We'll see what happens with the rest of the year, but hopefully they continue to space things out a bit. Even just 5 or 6 weeks between collections feels better to me than when it's barely a month. It makes me more excited to see what's coming next. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Holo Taco. Moving on to Mooncat, they're another US-based boutique nail polish brand, and they recently released their Misfits Part 2 collection, which is made up of 4 polishes that were rejected prototypes for other releases. If you've seen Holo Taco's declassified collections, it's the same idea. Mooncat did their first Misfits collection a couple years ago, and now we've got the second, and I'd say the main difference between the two is that this one is limited edition. And I definitely have some thoughts on that, but we'll get to that later after I talk about the polishes. I'm gonna start with the topper called Sugar and Spice. As you might be able to guess from the name, this one was a prototype for the Powerpuff Girls collab a couple summers ago. Kind of interesting that they're still referencing the IP without it being part of a licensed collab. That collection was all jelly flaky polishes, so this topper is a similar vibe, just with the multicolored iridescent flakes and scattered holo in a clear base. And it also dries matte, which is different from the polishes in that collection. I think this is a nice polish. It seems convenient to have that combination of iridescent and holo in one topper, so you don't have to layer multiple polishes to get that effect. And it explains why they discontinued their topper Foxfire in the last round of Dearly Departed, since that was previously the one iridescent flake topper in their catalog. I see Sugar and Spice as an improvement because it seems like the flakes in Foxfire were a bit sparse, but of course, since Sugar and Spice is limited edition, once it sells out, then there won't be any iridescent toppers in Mooncat's catalog unless they release another. So that's the downside to replacing Foxfire. I am probably gonna resist the FOMO and skip this one. It's pretty, but I have a few iridescent flake toppers already, and I'm not really looking to add any more right now. Then we have a thermal polish called the Firebird. It's described as black when cold and deep plum when warm, with orange shimmer, though I will say that the warm state seems to get pretty vibrant, and I would almost call that shimmer a microflake. It's definitely on the larger size for a shimmer. This polish was apparently a prototype for the Danse Macabre collection, and I can see how the thermal shift would fit in with that color story, but also kind of why they decided not to include it, since the orange shimmer would have been a bit of an outlier. Mooncat seems to really like making thermals with a dark purple/black to lighter purple color shift. I didn't even realize how many until I saw this comparison post from Nail Bastion on Instagram. They are all different, especially with the shimmers, but similar vibes for sure. I definitely see why they would be popular, so it's not too surprising to see another one, but it also might be nice for them to branch out a little. Though I do think this is a beautiful polish. If you watch my channel, you might know that a purple base with orange flakes or shimmer is one of my favorite combinations. But I won't be getting this version of it. I try not to add too many thermals to my collection because they don't transition forever, and I actually have a thermal polish with some similarities to the Firebird, Fading Memories from Cadillacer. It has orange flakes and the cold state is purple, so it's not exactly the same, but there is some overlap. And for me, that's enough to not feel like I need the Mooncat. Then the last two polishes are apparently prototypes from a future collection. First is Atomica, which is described as a light moss green metallic lacquer. Moss is probably not the word I would use. Like, this color is much more silvery and desaturated than a green you would see in nature. I don't have that much else to say about it though. We haven't seen a lot of this finish from Mooncat, though it seems like we might in a future collection, so there's not much to compare it to yet. And I'm not especially tempted by it. It's pretty, but it just leans a little more silver than what I usually want to wear. And last is Nightbreak, which is a light lavender purple in the same finish as Atomica. And again, Mooncat said this is a prototype from a future collection, though I feel like it would also have fit in with the Danse Macabre color palette. My thoughts on this one are similar to what I thought about Atomica. It's pretty, but I'm not sure if this is a color that I really want to wear. I'm also trying to figure out if I like the finish. I probably would enjoy having it on my nails since it's so shiny and it looks really dazzling in direct light, but I'm also just not that enticed by it, at least in these colors. Maybe once the collection these would have been part of comes out, there will be a color that I'm more interested in. Alright, so those are all the polishes, and this would usually be the part where I talk about the color story, the finishes, the theme, but I feel like that discussion isn't super relevant for a Misfits collection that's not trying to be cohesive or tell a story like other Mooncat collections do. Like, they tend to get very extra with their marketing and commission art and music and videos to establish the mood of the collection, but there wasn't really any of that this time. The only thing I really want to comment on is the fact that we got two polishes with the same finish, and I feel like it would have been fun to get all different finishes. But in the absence of my usual commentary, there is still something I want to do with the rest of this video, and that's complain about the fact that this release is limited edition. I've been following Mooncat for about 2 years at this point, and they haven't really done too many limited edition releases since I've been paying attention. I know they used to release single limited edition polishes and limited collections, but since I've been following them, the only limited releases have been collabs, which they do restock for several months, and those rare-made polishes you can only get with rewards points. So I'm not used to just a regular release being limited edition for no discernible reason. I mean, maybe there is a good reason, but it hasn't been communicated as far as I know. And this release being limited stands out even more to me because of what they've done in the past few months. There was the Avatar collab at the end of 2025, which was limited edition and also not available outside the US and Canada. And then this year they put out 3 rare-made polishes in January, which are also limited edition. And you can only get them with rewards points, and the main way to get rewards points are to place an order or write a review. Not my favorite thing that Mooncat does. So I've been waiting to see when they'll put out an actual regular collection, and I kind of feel like they still haven't done that this year, because I don't know if a limited edition set of Misfits really counts as the kind of collection I've gotten used to from Mooncat, where it's 8 to 10 polishes and a well-defined theme. And of course, they can release what they want to release, and I understand why brands do limited edition stuff. At this point, yeah, I'm kind of annoyed, but I'm also just confused. Because yeah, creating FOMO is good for business, but Mooncat usually goes so hard with their theming. And this year it's just been, here, have 3 rare-made polishes. Is it a collection? No, it's just rare-made polishes. Here, have some Misfits. The point of this release is that it's not cohesive. It just makes me wonder what's going on behind the scenes, if the brand owner is okay, and if they plan to get back to their usual big, elaborate releases at some point. I was really hoping that this would be the year that Mooncat returns to form after having a rough couple of years, but so far it's not looking great. I guess we'll see what happens. So I think that's all I have to say about the Mooncat and Holo Taco collections this month. I was definitely more excited about the Holo Taco, and I feel like Mooncat is going to have to work harder to stay on the list of brands I buy from, but I know some people felt the opposite, so I'm looking forward to hearing your opinions. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you to everyone who's watching till the end. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Jelly Sandwich collection and the Misfits collection, if you bought anything, if you plan to, or if you're skipping these releases. Also, let me know what you thought about covering 2 brands in one video. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would leave me a like or maybe even subscribe. Hyping videos is apparently also something you can do now. You could also follow me on Instagram, linked below. But thank you to everyone who has done any of that. I keep forgetting to mention this, but I have over 1,000 subscribers now, which is very exciting, and I'm grateful to all of you who watch my videos. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!